Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present our spectacular show of podcast magic and imagination full of Disney wonder, news, and pop culture. It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast with Jenn Dave and David Dollar.
Happy New Year, Jen.
Happy New Year, Dave.
It is 2022 for 4 more days, 29, 30, 3 more days. Three
More
more
days.
days. Holy crap. It is just, it's a little wacky because
It's a
the
little
New Year is
overwhelming.
here. And do you get the sense that like November 1st hit, it was like, wow, it's Christmas season already. This is crazy. And you blinked 3 times and had a margarita and suddenly it's the end of December and now 2023 is here.
I just don't even know how any of this happened.
It went by so fast. I mean, like
It was
you were
crazy.
planning an agency retreat in December, and that happened a month ago. And I was going to go to a conference in early November, and that happened 2 months ago. And it's just what? So yeah, it's nuts. How was your Christmas, by the way? Well,
You know what?
how did you Disney this week? And how was your Christmas? And if they combine together, even better.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So, so I Disneyed this week by introducing my brother-in-law to Cruella.
Oh,
Well,
fun
Brady and
times.
I, I should say, introduced.
Mhm.
Yeah, and my sister had seen it, so loved it. So fabulous. That's number one, of course.
Yes, of course.
I also, what else? I feel like I did something else that I just can't think of right now. Well, of course, I was repping like some Disney Christmas wear because
Of course.
Christmas, duh. Yeah, and then Christmas was good. Christmas was the family's up. My niece and nephews are
Mhm.
up. So it was a very full house, a very fun house.
Mhm.
We had some and of course we got milk and cookies for Santa. The carrots were out for the reindeer. And so that was just very exciting the next morning when they woke up and got their presents from Santa. So that was wonderful.
Nice. If you ever thought about having children, have them over once a year, and then you go, now I got something to think about. Do we want kids again? And so, yeah, kids can be a little much. She can be a little crazy. We've got one, obviously, and he's actually here. I am by myself because Stephanie went to Orlando. Here's how I Disneyed. I sent Stephanie to Orlando to Disney Springs today. So so the setup, basically, my niece Madeline, which I've talked about before, she's a cast member. She works down at Old Key West, and she had to go to work today. Well, I don't know if you've heard, Jen, because you're a travel agent, owner of a travel agency, upon a Star Travel Concierge. Southwest Airlines has had some problems this week. They've run into some issues. They've had 1 or 2 or thousands of flights delayed and canceled. So yes, my wonderful niece was supposed to fly out this morning to go to work this evening, and of course she couldn't fly out because all the flights were canceled. Everything was canceled, and so yesterday around lunchtime, I'm up in the office and I'm working. I'm working on not stuff and tests, and I'm also working on quotes and things like that for wonderful clients and guests and things. And my beautiful wife calls me and I said, "Hey, can you come down here for a minute?" "Sure, come on down." Pop down the steps, and she looks at me and she says, "So my sister needs to borrow the car." And I'm like, well, okay. Her sister, being Madeline's mom, needs to borrow the car, and their cars are not great. They're working on getting another one, but they've got an older vehicle and can't make it to Orlando. And I'm like, okay. And well, Madeline needs to go to work tomorrow in Orlando, and she can't get there because the flight's been canceled, and they want to borrow the car. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. Now, the way we go from Birmingham is we cut across South Georgia. We found that to be the fastest way. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to miss a couple of turns. You're going to end up the wrong way. I mean, it's like you got to turn in Albany, Georgia, and across. There's another way you go around. I want to say it's Tifton, the way you hit the interstate, so on and so forth. Phoenix City is a little trickeration there, and if they're leaving overnight, it might be a little tricky. So Stephanie decided, you know what? Why don't I go with them? So I loaded them up last night. Got them all in the car. Got them waters. Got them snacks. They left at 10 o'clock last night. Got there at 8:30 this morning. 4 of them in the car. Madeline and her brother, the nephew, the sister, and of course Steph. And they spent the day at Disney Springs. They left about 4:30. They're on their way back. They should be here in about 3 to 4 hours. Stephanie will be exhausted, but it's one of those whirlwind trips that I told Steph. And Jen, I think you will relate to this. It's one of those things where she's going to get back and go, if I was 20, I would be exhilarated, but I'm not 20 and I am exhausted right now. This is a reminder that I can't do this very often.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
So So yeah, they've had a good time. I saw some pictures and stuff. They
Good.
took it to Disney Springs. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna, they're gonna buy some stuff and whatever and get some sales if they can. And that's where they are. And so I've
Hey,
had the kid all day at the house, and he's actually sitting on the couch peacefully watching his iPad and with his headphones on. So if you hear some chirping in the background, folks, that's him. Otherwise, we're just kind of hanging out. Christmas was also good. We had a great Christmas, and
good.
family and lots of gifts and things like that. So good times, fun times.
Yeah.
Also found out I get to go on a cruise in February, which will be nice. I
Mhm.
get to go 4 nights on the Wish, which is kind of exciting. It's a trip that I'll talk about more coming up, but we'll spend a couple of nights on the Wish, the Disney Wish, the cruise ship, doing cruisy things. I haven't been on a cruise in 20 years almost, and so this should be a hoot. This should be fun. It should be
It's
a good time.
time.
It is time. So we got a lot of stuff going on happening in 2023. We're really excited about some things we
Mhm.
have coming up for the show. But this week is kind of obviously a slower week, and Jen's got family over. The kids are going crazy, and I've got the kid running around here like crazy. I got to get into bed pretty soon, actually. And we thought about doing a Candlelight Processional episode, much like we did last
Mhm.
year, where Jen and I kind of read the script, the Candlelight Processional,
Yeah.
music. I listened to it again, and it's a great episode. I mean,
Yeah.
it's us, of course it's great, but it's a great episode, and music is great. And last year, remember, we got a lot of good feedback from the episode. And I
Mhm.
think you said you got some good feedback too from
Mhm.
people you
Yeah.
heard. So we decided, why don't we maybe do another version of that? And
Mhm.
time got away from us. It's just crazy busy Christmas, and we thought, we didn't
Yeah.
have time to put things together like we wanted. So we're going to basically give the segment of the show. We're going to do last year's Candlelight Processional
Mhm.
in this episode, and I think it stands up really, really well. You're going to hear Jen.
Yeah.
You're going to hear myself. You're going to hear the choir from Epcot Candlelight Processional. Now,
Mhm.
for those who don't know about the Candlelight Processional, just a real quick overview. Basically, it is a orchestra piece, a choir piece there at
Mhm.
Epcot, where they have cast members doing the choir. They come together. It's like a 50-piece orchestra, and they bring
Mhm.
celebrities in to kind of talk through
And
the
narrate.
Christmas story, narrate the Christmas story. Now, Jen and I don't talk about it a ton, but we make it no secret that she and I are both, we both people of faith. We both believe
Mhm.
that Christmas is celebrating the birth of Christ, and we also believe, in Easter, the death and the resurrection of Christ as
Mhm.
well. And so we have that firm belief, and so this Candlelight Procession for us, I think, is kind of a big deal. And I know you've seen it several times, Jen. Tell me,
Yeah, it's
tell me a little bit about
beautiful.
your experience with the Candlelight Processional. What favorite narrators, things you love about it? What is,
Oh
I mean, what is it
gosh.
really draws you to it?
Um, well, I just think in general, the way they have it pieced together and the way the narration flows in with
Hmm.
the music, because of course I'm a musician too,
Of
and
course.
it's just so beautiful. The arrangements are so beautiful. And it's just, to me, it's such a sacred story and such a sacred um time that it really makes me feel like Christmas when I go to watch it. And I mean, over my time, I know I've seen several narrators. I mean, probably the most famous, I'll say, like the one that, like, if you say the name, everybody knows. This is random. Cal
Hmm.
Ripken Jr. I've
Okay.
seen
Yeah.
narrate it.
Oh, Mr.
W-
Baseball, Iron
yeah,
Man. Yeah.
one on my list that I've never seen that is like bucket list is NPH. I've just
Yes.
never made it there
Everybody wants to see Neil
for
Patrick
an
Harris.
NPH
Yep.
narration.
Mhm.
I don't know. And one year I saw Whoopi Goldberg. That was, I guess that would be the other big one that
Mhm.
I've seen over time. And it's bad to say, but I don't even remember some of the other narrators, probably because they were maybe people that I just like I knew
Right.
of, but like,
Right.
you know, not
Yeah.
maybe a
I've
huge
seen
fan
I've
of or
seen John
whatever. So,
Stamos. I know I've seen one more. I'm like you.
oh,
I've
that
seen
would
it a
be
couple of
awesome.
times. John Stamos, and I saw Jodie Benson. The first time I ever saw it was Jodie Benson,
Oh, that would be
and
fabulous.
she sang a little bit. It was kind of cool. We were up a
That
third
would be
row, and I
amazing.
was like, "That is pretty great that she's
Oh my
talking to me."
gosh.
She wasn't talking to me directly, but she might as well have
But
been
she
because
she was probably she was
she,
probably
she
talking to
looked
you.
my way at one point in the show. I think as she
She was
moved her
probably looking
head,
at you.
her eyes locked with probably somebody's behind me, but she's probably looking at. She was
It
trying
was
not to
almost
look
the
at me,
same
but I
thing.
could tell. I could tell. I could tell.
It's almost the same thing.
But no, it's remarkable to me that
It's so beautiful.
the story. I mean, they're reading directly from scripture, and
Mm.
so I
Yep.
believe that the scripture that we're reading from is the Passion version,
Yeah,
and
this Passion
and you can
Translation.
email us if you have more questions about it. But it's the Passion translation, and it's basically it's out of the Gospels. It's the birth of Christ,
Mhm.
and in this kind of a world, I'm still always surprised when they do this because it's such a very faith
Mhm.
centric story in a very secular world. And I'm not going to get into
Mhm.
all the minutia of that, but it is sometimes
Yeah.
surprising. And, obviously I think there are celebrities who just think it's a story, and others who I think fully, truly believe it as we do. But I think this is a great little little story to tell. Like
Mhm.
again, you and I think we do great narration, if I do say so myself.
I
Um,
mean,
and we have some of the choir. We have the choir from the Candlelight Processional as
some
well.
clips.
Now, if you're
Yeah.
watching on YouTube, you may not hear the music. Quasi producer Heather is kind of stickler about the music because she doesn't want to get it taken down. But the audio version, you're going to hear the music. And
Yeah.
this is the script from the Epcot Candlelight Processional. I guess Disney ever calls and says, "Hey, take it down," we will. But otherwise, we're going to enjoy it and have
Yeah.
a good time. So listen up, sit back, enjoy for the next 30 minutes or so. Epcot's
Yeah.
Candlelight Processional featuring your narration hosts, Jenn and myself.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Candlelight Processional. I'm not sure if you know this, but Walt Disney began the tradition of the Candlelight Processional at Disneyland over 60 years ago. This year, Walt Disney World celebrates 50 years of magic here in Florida. In that time, literally millions of guests have enjoyed the Christmas story, the traditional carols, and especially the glorious music of the holiday season. To continue this marvelous heritage, I invite you now to sit back to enjoy this magnificent orchestra and this extraordinary bunch of singers. Let us begin. During the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, the angel Gabriel was sent from God's presence to an unmarried girl named Mary, living in Nazareth, a village in Galilee. She was engaged to a man named Joseph, a true descendant of King David. Gabriel appeared to her and said, "Grace to you, young woman, for the Lord is with you, and so you are anointed with great favor." Mary was deeply troubled over the words of the angel and bewildered over what this may mean for her. But the angel reassured her, saying, "Do not yield to your fear, Mary, for the Lord has found delight in you and has chosen to surprise you with a wonderful gift. You will become pregnant with a baby boy, and you are to name him Jesus."
During those days, the Roman Emperor Caesar Augustus ordered that the first census be taken throughout his empire. So Joseph and his fiancée Mary left Nazareth, a village in Galilee, and journeyed to the hometown in Judea, to the village of Bethlehem, King David's ancient home. They were required to register there since they were both direct descendants of David. Mary was pregnant and nearly ready to give birth. When they arrived in Bethlehem, Mary went into labor, and there she gave birth to her firstborn son. After wrapping the newborn baby in strips of cloth, they laid him in a feeding trough since there was no available space in any room in the village.
That night, in a field near Bethlehem, there were shepherds watching over their flocks. Suddenly, an angel of the Lord appeared in radiant splendor before them, lighting up the field with the blazing glory of God, and the shepherds were terrified. But the angel reassured them, saying, "Don't be afraid, for I have come to bring you good news, the most joyous news the world has ever heard, and it is for everyone, everywhere. For today in Bethlehem, a rescuer was born for you. He is the Lord Yahweh, the Messiah."
Then all at once a vast number of glorious angels appeared, the very armies of heaven, and they all praised God, singing, "Glory to God in the highest realms of heaven, for there is peace and a good hope given to the sons of men."
When the choir of angels disappeared back to heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go. Let's hurry and find this word that is born in Bethlehem and see for ourselves what the Lord has revealed to us." So they ran into the village and found their way to Mary and Joseph, and there was the baby lying in a feeding trough. Upon seeing this miraculous sign, the shepherds recounted what had just happened. Everyone who heard the shepherd's story was astonished by what they were told.
Jesus was born in Bethlehem near Jerusalem during the reign of King Herod. After Jesus' birth, a group of spiritual priests from the east came to Jerusalem and inquired of the people, "Where is the child who was born king of the Jewish people? We observed his star rising in the sky, and we've come to bow before him in worship." And when they saw the star, they were so ecstatic that they shouted and celebrated with unrestrained joy.
And so they left. And on their way to Bethlehem, suddenly the same star they had seen in the east reappeared. Amazed, they watched as it went ahead of them and stopped directly over the place where the child was. When they came into the house and saw the young child with Mary, his mother, they were overcome. Falling to the ground at his feet, they worshipped him. Then they opened their treasure boxes full of gifts and presented him with gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
The story of the birth of Christ has been told and retold for over 2,000 years. But about 200 years ago, in a small church in Austria on a quiet winter's day, the organist, Franz, came to a young priest, Joseph Moore. And he said, "Father Joseph, the church organ is broken. We will have no music for the Christmas Eve service." Well, later in the day, as Joseph made his rounds, he visited a home where a baby had just been born. And of course, he thought about the birth of baby Jesus. Inspired by the miracle of life, the miracle of love, comforted by the peace that fell over the town, he rushed back to the church and he wrote a poem. Well, Joseph said to Franz, "We may not have the old organ, but if you can play the guitar, then maybe we could have a new song instead." Franz said, "Father, I only know 3 chords." Joseph said, "Well then, let's make a song with just 3 chords." Well, Franz used what he knew, and slowly and carefully he pulled forth a tender melody from those 3 chords. And lo and behold, he composed the most beautiful and beloved of all the Christmas carols.
Heavenly peace. It is a gift bestowed upon us all during this special time of year. Tonight, people around the world mark this joyful season with heartfelt sentiment. As we each treasure our unique holiday traditions of family, faith, and culture, let us join together and celebrate the birth of the blessed babe in a manger and rejoice in the universal message of peace on earth and goodwill towards all. Joy to the world.
A child has been born for us. A son has been given to us. The responsibility of complete dominion will rest on his shoulders, and his name will be the Wonderful One, the extraordinary strategist, the mighty God, the Father of eternity, the Prince of Peace.
And that is the Candlelight Processional. And who knows? Maybe we'll play the same thing next year. Maybe we'll re-record it.
Who
Swap
knows?
roles. I don't know. But anyway, Jen, tell us where we can find you online.
You can find me at Upon a Star Jen and my personal Instagram at Jen_Novotny.
Perfect. Find me at The Magic on a Dollar on Instagram, and also Magic on a Dollar and Disney on a Dollar on Facebook as well. And find us, of course, at UponAStarTravel.com. That's our website for the agency, and the MSCpodcast.com. Go there and find all the contact information. We got Instagrams like crazy, and Twitters and TikToks and Facebooks and all the
and
stuff.
Everything else.
I think we put your live journal and your Zynga address up there somewhere. My MySpace is on there somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
Stuff. And so you can find me on ICQ if you're really looking for me. That's fine. But anyway, Jen,
Wow.
I hope you continue having a wonderful Christmas week and a very happy New Year. And yeah, guys, we will see you next week. Thank you. 2022 comes to a close. 51 episodes out of 52 weeks. Jen, not bad.
That's pretty dang good.
I didn't do the math on it, but somewhere I figured around 40 hours of us talking over the course of the episodes. That's a lot of Jenn and Dave. Some would say not enough Jenn and Dave, but still, that's a lot of Jenn and Dave.
So to everybody, you're welcome.
Exactly. You're welcome. It's probably me rambling on and on incessantly, and Jenn trying to get a word in edgewise, because let's be honest, everybody comes for Jenn and not for me, but that's okay. That's why I brought Jenn on the show, so people would listen to the show, and it's okay. We are nearing 50,000 downloads lifetime on the podcast, by the way, and I want to thank the audience so much for a great year listening to the podcast, downloading, subscribing. We appreciate it so much, just engaging with us and just telling us that you're fans. I randomly get people all the time that'll be like, "Oh, I listened to the show," and I'm like, "You do? I don't even know you.
Okay.
Who are you?" Yeah, it's really kind of great. It's really kind of fun. But we'll take it. So anyway, Jenn, thank you so much. Audience, thank you so much. And yeah, don't forget to thank your Phoenicians.
Thank you for listening to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MSE Podcast, or visit our website at themsepodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe, and may all your wishes come true.